Sponsor an orphan, and you'll help support a vulnerable child to have the education they've always dreamed of, so they can build a brighter future. You'll be feeding a hungry stomach and a hungry mind with knowledge that will last them a lifetime. That's the power of an education. Sponsor an orphan now with Islamic Relief. Sponsor an orphan, and you'll help support a vulnerable child.
Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everybody. It's Preacher Master, host of the SOS, the Shout Out Show, comedian, Muslim comedian extraordinaire. Listen, I hope everybody is having a wonderful Wednesday. You know, it is hump day, and we say hump day as in half the week this way, half the week that way. In any event, I'm hoping that everybody is having a joyous weekend, whatever, not a joyous weekend, but a joyous week as we slide into the weekend. I want to give a shout out to El Hibri Foundation, which will be hosting their Eid celebration in Dearborn, Michigan, tomorrow from 6:30 to 9:30 at the Henry Hotel on Telegraph Road. Listen, looking forward to seeing everybody out there. We're actually going to be broadcasting from there, inshallah, from the actual venue. So please tune in. Hopefully, be able to grab a few interviews while we're there and pop some folks on there you may recognize, you may not recognize, but you know, we're gonna have a little fun. We're gonna be the little I'm gonna try and be the reporter on the scene, inshallah, if you will. All right, so let's get a little new business, little housekeeping taken care of. My mama son, she will not be on the show today. Her computer locked up, so she called me to let me know I will not be there, but she sends her warm regards to everybody else that's able to make it today. That's number one. Number two, I want to give a shout out to Imams Anwar and Imams Anas Muhammad out of Philadelphia from Masjid Kuba, the Kuba Institute, world renowned for sending young men over to become Hafiz of Quran, memorize the entire Quran. They lost his sister earlier today, and I just want to say, you know, condolences to them. Very good brothers. I've known them for quite a number of years, and we pray that Allah blesses them with comfort and compassion, and of course, forgives the sins of their sister in this life and the next, and gives her the highest level of paradise. Okay, appreciate that. Also, again, another shout out to the William Walker family, William Walker III, my main man, Washington, D.C. Hope you're doing well. We're going on location today from Michigan, and you know, I came up on this topic today. Let me bring it up because I didn't bring up the overlay. Our topic today is called the skin game, the politics of color. The skin game, the politics of color. Now, I've been well aware of the whole idea of race identity politics, and one of the ways people do race identity politics is by the color of skin. You know, even now we perpetuate it now. You know, Black Power, the Miss Marvel show came out on Disney, and a lot of people are like, it's so much good to see a brown girl. It's like, but if you don't call yourself brown where you come from, why would you call yourself brown here? Why don't we say Indian? Why don't we say Pakistani? And it goes to say that a lot of people are tied up that way. That color does count. We talk about Black Lives Matter, White Lives Matter, Brown Lives Matter. You know, color matters. We are in a country that does place a lot of emphasis on color schematic in terms of how they value different cultures, criminology, the judicial system. We've had that for a lot of years. But let me tell you, when I knew color was a problem, and I've known this for a while, but I remember I was watching a movie called The Cotton Club with Gregory Hines in it, and I think Richard Gere was in it, and they had a club called the Cotton Club. It was in Harlem. It was run by, of course, white mafiosos. But there was a scene there of a black girl who was a tremendous dancer, wanted to be a part of the chorus line at the Cotton Club. And they said that she could not be part of the chorus line. They said, why? So she's too dark. Now, too dark, this is the thing. The chorus line was all black women, but she was too dark for that group of black women. And they had something called the paper bag test, which I heard about for years and years. My grandmother told me about it. My grandfather told me about it. My parents told me about it. The paper bag test was, if you were darker than a paper bag, then, you know, you couldn't work for the Apollo. And it carried out throughout society. So, we don't even have paper bags unless you go like Whole Foods, right? I mean, only paper bag. You don't have paper. You got like plastic bags. I think if you imagine that you're trying to, I'm way darker than the plastic bag, bro. But my point is, you still have people who are tied into that type of mentality. So for today, I'm going to talk about the politics of skin color, the skin game here on the Shout Out Show. So listen, I appreciate everybody tuning in. We're going to have a great show. If you allow me to do so, I appreciate you and thank you for advance for being a part of this broadcast. We're going to be right back. Don't move. The Shout Out Show. Talking about the skin game, politics of skin color. We are back, so I'm going to go ahead and introduce stars in the building, the people who really make the show go, not just myself and Satana. We're talking about the Shout Out Show family, the Shout Out Show soldiers. I'm going to introduce everybody, and I hope everybody in anyone who has to join in. I always tell you, you can be a part of the Shout Out Show family. You just got to be sincere, have a good heart. That's all I'm putting out there. I'm not putting any other requirements out there. You don't even have to subscribe, brothers and sisters. I stopped asking people to subscribe a while ago. Why? Because this is our family. This is our core. So we want to go ahead. I already explained my mom will not be on the show today because she somehow figured out a way to foul up yet another computer that won't work. It's probably like a computer abuse support group, and they all talk about her. All right, so first up, we got Sister E. What's going on, Sister E? Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, my beautiful sister. Hope you're doing well. On that road to recovery, hope that you're feeling well, bouncing back from COVID, and hope that your family, your husband and your son, all of them are doing well, and they are in the merciful guidance and blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Thank you so much. Next up, we have my main man, Altaf Rashid, who has been promoted from being the Canadian ambassador to the show to the Canadian envoy to the show. I'm not sure what that means, but we ain't going to pay him anymore because we don't pay him anything right now. Altaf, wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Beloved, thank you so much for being on the show. We still call him. It's 6 o'clock, straight up, straight down. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. And coming in next, my brother, Johnny L. Thomas. JT, I will see you on Friday, inshallah, my brother. Man, so much love, man. He checked in with me, thought I was coming to Chicago a week early. That's right, because my brother's not late. I will be there on Friday, bells and whistles, and we'll take the shuttle up, and we will grab some lunch somewhere in Milwaukee, as long as the food is delectable. Okay. Want to give a shout out. Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My main man, Eric Carter, brother. How you doing? I hope you stand cool down there in Houston. I heard it's on fire, boy. I heard the devil had to buy a fan. He had to get some refrigerant. That's what I heard. But I hope you're cooling out. My brother Bilal Salahuddin and his queen Sonia Dalton Salahuddin, my dear sister. So Bilal got jokes talking about. I've been to the mountaintop just because I got a little gray. Bilal, it's all right, man. I don't mind. I grow mine out. I try to. And, it'll get to a point where it'll go long enough. I have a nice little coffee and then you'd be like, man, that brother looks debonair. But until that time, you go ahead and get your Moses jokes on. It's all love. It's all love, Bilal. It's all love. Hey, and congratulations on that circuit breaker. I saw that. Bilal does illegal electrical repair. Anybody? Illegal electrical repair. So if you have a real electrician, don't call him, call Bilal, and he'll do it for 85% off. You should have left me alone about this white on my chin, brother. Okay, and we have Sister Aika coming in all the way from Depok, Indonesia. Sister Aika, assalamu alaikum. I should say wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Hope all is well over in Indonesia. She's up early over there, probably right after 5. You're just tuning in. We appreciate your input and your support. So let me tell you where this story starts. It doesn't really start with the skin lightening. It starts with an act or effort or legal recourse to stop people from doing skin lightening. In the country of Rwanda, skin lightening products have been outlawed because some of the ingredients in skin lightening have been outlawed. So you now have a market that's not being served. Now in Africa, it is very common, just like in Indonesia, just like in Pakistan, just like in India. There is an issue or effort that skin needs to be lighter. People feel like there's passports, there are benefits to having lighter skin. And if there are products that can help to achieve that, they will do that. I was watching a video where a doctor, I'll probably show this a little bit at the end of the show, where a doctor talked about all the things that go into skin lightening. And at the end, this doctor says, number one, two things. Number one, it's all temporary. And number two, he said you shouldn't do it. He said you just love your skin. You put yourself all through these things. Now, in Rwanda, it was interesting because it became illegal. You can go to jail for up to 2 years and be fined a roughly equivalent of $5,000 in Rwandan money if you are caught trafficking in these things. And now you have a black market for people who want to lighten their skin. Here's the deal. There are people who are willing to risk liberty and finances and freedom, if you will, to get these skin lightening products. Of course, a majority of these people are women, but do not be fooled. Men like to lighten their skin too. I'll be honest, when I was young and I moved into my neighborhood, we weren't the first black family, but we were the first dark-skinned black family. And going to school, there were a group of kids who loved to tease and give me a hard time because I was dark-skinned. And I was good at it. And I remember, the whole idea, it went against what was going on, what was said in like the 40s and the 50s, light, bright, damn near white, what that meant. But I was a black kid and I was a prideful black kid. And what that meant was, while I had my little afro, black is beautiful, say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. Those were the things that were on my heart. So, of course, it created a lot of conflict. But this thing about Rwanda was interesting because it's an African country. These are Africans around other Africans. This is not Africans around white supremacy here in the United States. However, you do see the imprint of white supremacy in the African content and the African subcontinent because people are constantly trying to whiten and lighten their skin. Now, every once in a while, you just have to do a little homework. So I'm not going to let it be that I just sit here and talk you to death about it. But I think it's interesting that you see some of the messaging that's going on out there. Some of the things that people are saying and doing, if you will, in terms of lightening skin. So just take a couple minutes. We're going to do maybe 3 minutes. I'm going to come back and we're going to talk about this a little bit. But I want everybody to just get comfortable or not get comfortable with what you're about to see because this is reality. We see it as adults. But we reflect it to our children and society around us. Can you think a company would think about promoting or developing a product so you would lighten your skin knowing that they are somehow in tune with the fact that you don't like your skin color? I was with a friend recently, good friend, old friend, and I said, hey, you look different. And she said, hey, I got some work done. I'm like, what, doing that yard work? Great. Yeah, you've been working on your car. And she began to talk about, no, I got my eyes done here, and I got this done here, and I got this done here, I got this done. I was like, why are you doing that? Obviously, because I'm old school. We just didn't do that back then. My grandmother didn't get liposuction, and she didn't get tummy tucks and stuff like that. My aunt never, I love her. She never did anything like, crow's feet pulled back. It's like, you're blessed with the skin you roll with, and that's what it is. Whatever it is, hey, you work with it. But in this new age of technology, people do believe that they can be other things, and technology allows them to not only believe that, but access technology that can change their look. So this whole thing of skin lightening is nothing new. We have to talk about the politics of it. So before I get into talking about the politics of it, I just want you to take a gander at some of the stuff that's out there. Now, keep in mind, this is not stuff that I made up. This is stuff that I randomly pulled off the internet. And you're about to understand what I'm talking about. Stay tuned.
We're going undercover. Here we go, boot it up, press record. We're rolling. Shining a light on a multi-billion-dollar global industry that suggests a better you is just a few shades away.
Lighten up range of skincare products, evens the skin tone. It deep cleanses your skin to reveal one tone fairer skin in one wash.
Skin lightening products that promise to lighten or whiten your skin are marketed around the world. Even some big brands are doing it.
They three tones like the skin. Sirf ek week mein. Fast fairness with new Garnier Serum Cream. Nivea Extra White Body Serum. The innovative serum that whitens, repairs, and protects.
Skin whiter and smoother feeling in 1 week. White plus papaya, my skin so white.
Ads like this are all over YouTube.
For long-lasting fair and even skin.
And while these companies may not market their products directly to Canadians, skin lightening is popular here at home too. We're hitting stores across Canada.
Yeah, there's a and cream. Those are the most popular.
Come, get better. Become white.
Become white in seconds? We want to know why skin lightening products are so popular. So we're setting up shop at a Toronto mall to find out.
I have an older sister too, right? She's extremely fair. Like she's white. And they would always compare me with her, saying, oh, she's more beautiful because she's white.
Give them attitude. Lighter skin gives them bleach attitude.
Do any of these skin lightening products look familiar to you?
This one does. In India, it's a hit.
One of my mom's favorite.
A lot of Africans use it, like the women, like they use it for their face, their body.
You used all these
Oh yeah,
products?
when I was younger, this is my best one, Tapicare gel. This will actually bleach you.
It can bleach your skin? How safe are these products?
Whiter skin in 14 days.
We buy more than 100 products. We choose about a dozen popular ones for testing, sending them off to a lab in the UK.
Red means excitement.
Okay, so you kind of get an idea what I'm talking about. While I'm speaking to you here on the Shout Out Show, they said this is an over $1 billion business. Now, there's a difference or there's a danger when you take a $1 billion business and you attach it to culture, and in the middle of it is dysfunction. Now, people want to bleach their skin and things like that. I guess that's you do what you want to do. Okay? I'm not talking about that, but I'm talking about the politics of the skin game. Of the young lady that talked about why she bleached her skin because her sister was fair skinned, and they said that, oh, your sister is much more beautiful than you, because that whole idea of being close to white is a scary thing. It lends a whole lot of credibility to what I talked about from that clip from the movie Cotton Club about the paper bag test. That if you were lighter than a paper bag, you could dance in the Cotton Club, and if you were darker, you could not dance in the Cotton Club. Those things being said, shout out to Rwanda, who's basically taken this whole stance. Number one, that this is something of a cultural dysfunction. And then number two, that the creams in and of themselves provide a temporary, let me say this again, they provide a temporary understanding or a temporary acceptance that your skin is whiter because it doesn't stay white. It doesn't stay light. You know, your nature is your nature. You know, whatever your original nature is, that's what you're going to revert to. And if your original nature says you look a certain way, you're going to look a certain way, or you're going to act a certain way. And in between that, brothers and sisters, is the fact that this whole thing is spilled over into so many other things. Our politics, our community life, our social life, our political life has been stratified by the whole idea of color. That the light-skinned Negro is the one that's more passive and docile. And the black Negro with the dark skin is a bit of a beast and a brute and uncouth and crude and all those things. We even talk about it in our own culture. Comedians always saying, you know, light-skinned brothers are back and black-skinned brothers are in. And I'm like, where is this coming from? It's coming from a very, very dark place. that in many regards we haven't been able to accept ourselves. And I can put it on in some aspects of white supremacy, no, but I'm talking about controlling our own image. I remember a long time ago, I made a joke one time and it wasn't received well. I was saying to a brother because it was feared that Mr. Farrakhan was going to pass away. I didn't think it was. I said, but in case he does, I said, is it possible we can have a dark-skinned leader of the Nation of Islam just for a couple of years? Woo! Brothers took that the wrong way. But I wasn't wrong. Because even in the Nation of Islam, it was rumored that the idea of a dark-skinned leader of the Nation of Islam would scare America. That they weren't necessarily ready for a black man with a black hue, with a black nationalist point of view. He couldn't handle it. We did have Khalid Muhammad for a little while, Dr. Khalid Muhammad, but even that's passed on. But you see what the point is, brothers and sisters. This idea, even in our movies and in the show business, before we had BET, if you go back and you look at a lot of the sitcoms that we watch and love had light-skinned leads. Some of the movies that we do and if you really think about it, even the music industry, I love India Ari. She came up with a song called Brown Skin. And I'm here to tell you that song was amazing. Not only for its artistry, not only for its content, but its messaging was amazing because she got it. That as an artist, a supremely talented artist, people are going to look at her skin color before they looked at her art. Fair, unfair, mostly unfair. But these are the things we look through. We live through a prism of color. So all I wanted to do is kind of lay that little basis out there. I don't want to bombard you with too much, but what we're going to do is we're going to take a break. We're going to come back. I'm going to show you a little something of this video, and then we're going to wrap up, okay? So start thinking about that. What are some of the color signals that you see throughout America? When you go through a neighborhood and you see a billboard, what's that family look like? I can tell you some things that are really going to freak you out because I'm going to remind you of some things. So don't move. We will be right back.
We just need help.
Imagine if there wasn't an olive branch. Muslim Family Services at your command. The people who help people have to say, we need your donations, don't delay. We all have struggles from time to time, but leaders dedicated is what you find. Before another person sheds a tear, support Olive Branch, you don't have to fear. Olive Branch Muslim Family Services. Action you can see, compassion you can feel. Sing it with me. Ooh. Ooh. All right. Now, I used to think of this and talk about this scope in terms of entertainment. Like, it was very hard for dark-skinned entertainers, particularly comedians, black actors had a lot more love and I want to say flexibility and opportunities. Black comedians, for a long time, it was very difficult for black comedians who were dark-skinned to actually get that break. Red Fox talked about it. He had this wonderful joke about there was no color. Everybody was green. And then one day down south in Alabama, a bunch of people got on the bus and the bus driver said, all right, dark green people to the back, light green people to the front. Even then, we will delineate on color. If we were all green, we still say a light green and a dark green, a light blue and a dark blue, an orange and a burnt orange and an autumn. And we make up all of these color palettes. And you would think that, these are all the colors of the Crayola box. But no, these are the colors of politicalization of color and skin tone in our country. So I'm going to show you guys just a little video. And just pay attention. This brother's from India. So I just want you to know that it's not here. I think it's India, Pakistan. I'm not sure. But he makes so much sense. And it's very plain spoken. It's very subtle what he's going to say. So pay attention as I bring this video up. And then we're going to wrap up here. Okay? Oh, well, I guess we're not. Hold on a minute, family. I'm sorry. I should have done this through the break, but I did not. Okay. So listen to what he's saying, and it's going to make a lot of sense for you.
Hi, I'm Dr. Rajdeep. I'm a dermatologist and dermatosurgeon practicing at Charma, a skin, hair, and nail clinic attached to Chirag Hospital in JP Nagar, second phase, Bangalore. All of us are born with a different skin color. Some of us are fair, some of us are brown, some of us are very dark. This inherent skin color can be changed to a certain extent. What has been noticed is generally when the majority of the population is fair skinned, they desire to have tanned skin. So Caucasians have the craze of tanning, whereas when the majority of the population is dark skinned, they are crazy after fair skin, which is seen in India, China, South Korea, etc. So treatment or procedures which can be done to improve the skin tone or full body whitening include glutathione injections. Glutathione is a naturally occurring substance which our body itself produces, but when it is injected into the body in very high doses, it causes suppression of the production of melanin. Melanin is the pigment which produces the brown skin color or the red skin color. And some people who have red hair, it can be red melanin. In those of us who have black hair, it's brown melanin. So glutathione converts this brown melanin into red melanin. So when it converts this, it lightens the skin tone. As long as high levels of glutathione are present in the blood, it keeps converting the brown melanin into the red melanin, and therefore maintenance treatment with glutathione is required. So glutathione is available as tablets, it's available as spray, it's available as lozenges, it's available as injections. So the many forms in which it's available just goes to show how crazy people are about lightening their skin. My suggestion to every patient who desires skin lightening is don't do it. Be comfortable with your skin color. All these things are temporary. Whatever you do to lighten your skin is a temporary thing, and once you stop taking the glutathione supplements, again your skin color is going to go back to normal.
Oh, I'm sorry, folks. After all of that, he goes, don't do it. The glutenin and the continental lozenges and the tablets and the screen and the spray, and then he goes, don't do it. Why, brothers? This is because it's not part of your natural nature. It's a God made you who you are. I believe that. God made you who you are. I believe that too. But I think the thing that he said was even white people are not happy with their skin. And in the summertime, it's going to be as hot as hell in places like Houston and New Mexico and Arizona. You have people who are laying out in the sun, putting on suntan lotion to get darker. And then on the other side, you have people trying to get lighter. What that says is people just aren't happy with who they are. So I'm with my man. You know, if you're going to get a tan, cool. If you're going to get lighter, that just means you're going to stay inside a lot more than everybody else. But as soon as you go outside, the sun's going to cook you. So relax. You ain't getting away with nothing. The moral of the story is, as much as that man talked, and I understood what he was saying, and I'm sure you did as well, this idea that skin has been used as a weapon and that people have succumbed to the pressures of lightening the skin, thinking that it's going to benefit them somehow, that it's going to give them a one-up in society over the person that doesn't lighten their skin. And sadly, society does reward those efforts, brothers and sisters. If it wasn't about lighter skin, it's going to be about who has good hair, who does not have good hair, who has long hair, who has short hair. You know, they say that the first mention of racism in the world is in the Quran when Shaitan Iblis refuses to bow down to Allah, to Adam, and he says, I'm made of fire, he's made of clay. Those are the first two references of color. Wow. You know how that turned out. So, brothers, I'm getting out of here. You guys have a wonderful time. Have a wonderful day. And this is what I want you to do. When you're going around watching commercials, stuff like that, billboards, go through your magazines, see the subliminal messages that are out there about skin color, and report back. Take care of yourself. I'm Preacher Moss. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, see you tomorrow from Dearborn, Michigan.